Welcome one and all, I'm Alexis, aka The Sloth Reader, and I'm here today to do my monthly recommendations video for the month of October, and this month we are doing our favorite mysteries. They said on the thing it doesn't necessarily have to be like a mystery book, it's just a book that features a mystery that you really enjoy. As usual, I will leave the Goodreads group linked down below in case you're interested in joining us for our monthly recommendations. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the two that I thought of that actually were listed on the suggested page for this month's topic. It's two that the creators also kind of thought were good mysteries. So the first one I'm going to go ahead and start with is the Maze Runner series by James Dashner. This is the fifth book, The Fever Code, but this is kind of a book that's a prequel, so it's meant to explain a lot of the mystery. The mystery in this series is mostly just what is going on. You spend basically the original trilogy trying to figure out what's happening. That's the main mystery. You know, who are wicked? What are these boys doing in this maze? What's happened to the world outside of this maze? And so you're pretty much just trying to answer these questions. This is a series where with each book you get more and more questions that you kind of need answered. And so yeah, I really enjoy this series. I found the mystery compelling enough that I continued to pick up every book that came out. So yes, highly recommend this one if you want a good weird, wacky, dystopian series. The next one I'm going to mention is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. If you haven't read Gone Girl and or seen the movie, highly recommend both. I do think the movie is a great adaptation if you aren't interested in reading the entire book. But this basically follows our main character, Nick Dunn, who one morning his wife suddenly disappears, and it follows him as the police are investigating his wife's disappearance, and slowly these clues start popping up that lead the police to believe Nick Dunn has done something horrible to his wife. And we're following Nick Dunn as Nick's like, I know I didn't do anything horrible to my wife, so where's my wife? And it also includes a play on time as we're reading journal entries from the wife. And yeah, so the mystery in this is obviously what happened to Mrs. Dunn, and you know, did Nick have something to do with it? And again, there's how this all unravels is super interesting. It's really fascinating, and just kind of how the mystery comes to play and the thought that's put into the story is so super duper good. The next one I'm going to mention is The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. This follows our main character Blue as well as a group of 4 boys known as the Raven Boys, as they are first of all becoming a family to one another, but also as they are searching for a sleeping Welsh king named Glendower, who is said to have been put into a 1,000-year slumber in the foothills of Virginia. So obviously the mystery I'm talking about in this one is basically, where is Glendower? What happened to Glendower? The reason I love this mystery so much, and honestly the mystery is a big part of the story, but the story is about so much more than just the search for Glendower. But the reason I wanted to include this one is because I just had so much fun, like, following along as Gansey and the rest of the crew were trying to figure out where Glendower was. You know, as Gansey was finding new bits of information and he would get excited about him, like I was getting excited too. Like I just had such a fun time following along in the mystery of the series, and so like I could not put it on this list for that reason. The next one I'm going to mention is The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. This was actually Agatha Christie's first published novel, and it's also the one that introduces her famous detective Hercule Poirot. And so this is the first one that really introduces you to a lot of major characters from her books, and again, it was also her first published novel. This basically is a murder mystery story where they are on the Inglethorpe mansion and someone is killed in a locked room, and you're basically trying to figure out A, who killed them, B, how did they do it? And so like, is this a perfect mystery? No. Is this my favorite Agatha Christie novel? No. But I just think this is such a good one to recommend for people who are interested in getting into Agatha Christie, which is why I'm going to recommend this one. But I will say this about Agatha Christie. She is so good at using the red herring. Like, she uses the red herring so expertly, and I think that's what makes her novels so perfect. I mean, she pretty much does it across the board in all of her novels. Where she'll throw you a line and you'll get so obsessed with that you're missing like all of the clues right in front of you. And that is definitely the case with Mysterious Affair at Styles. So if you're interested in checking out Agatha Christie at all, I highly recommend starting with this one. It was kind of the one that really, you know, pushed her into the spotlight, so highly recommend it. The next one I'm going to mention is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Forgive me, I know that this is such a very, very bright book to look at on my camera with the lights and stuff. I don't really want to say too much about this novel because I think part of its charm is not knowing anything about it. All I will say is this follows our main character Jason, who goes out to a bar one night to celebrate an acquaintance of his getting a huge promotion of sorts, and on the way home he actually gets kidnapped at gunpoint by a man. This man brings him out to town where he knocks him unconscious, and when Jason wakes up he discovers that he's in a life that's not his own. He doesn't have his wife anymore, he doesn't have their son, he doesn't have the job or the house he currently had before. So it's basically about him trying to figure out what happened, where's his family, and who is this mysterious stranger who kidnapped him. That's all I'll say, and I still feel like that might be a little too much information, but just know that this is a one that's going to take you on a wild ride. The mystery in this one is so interesting and fascinating, and it takes it and it runs with it. And it's an enjoyable little book to read. The next one I'm going to mention was one of my favorite books of last year, and that is Shallow Graves by Callie Wallace. This follows our main character, Breezy, who at the very beginning of the novel actually crawls her way out of a grave that she has evidently been in this grave for a year. The mystery in this novel is Breezy goes across the country on a trip to figure out what has happened to her, how in the heck she crawled out of a grave a year after she was put there, and also how she now has the ability to sense when people have committed evil deeds. And so it's basically just Breezy trying to figure out what has happened to her and what happened. I love this book so much. Honestly, like, when I talk about it, it makes me so hyped for how much I loved it. There's super amounts of diversity that are super awesome. There's also a little bit of social commentary towards the end when the mystery of what happened to Breezy is finally revealed that I love, and I will save it so you guys can read it yourselves, but just know that I love this book. This book is so entertaining and it totally keeps you enraptured, and yeah, it's just super good. I completely and highly recommend it. The last book I'm going to mention is actually one of my favorite books of this year, and that is Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This, of course, follows Miss Eleanor West's home for wayward children, which is a home for people who have gone to Portal Fantasies and have since come back, and they are kind of readjusting to life in our world when all they really want is to be in their Portal worlds. So there's actually a murder mystery in this story where kids at this wayward home start going dead, and it's up to our main character Nancy and the kind of friends she makes there to figure out who is killing these wayward children and why. It's a novella, so it's not a very long story. I did guess it pretty early on. I don't think it's a wowing mystery, but I just think that this book is so magical and this book is so fun to read, and these characters are so intriguing that, like, the mystery is so worth it because of what you get to see of this world. And also the worlds connected to this one. And so yes, so I definitely recommend Every Heart a Doorway if you haven't checked it out. I've read it twice this year and enjoyed it immensely both times. Alright guys, so those were my October recommendations, obviously for mysteries. If you guys have a mystery book you would love to recommend to me, I'd love to hear it. I'll see you guys soon with another video. Bye!